Hello everyone and welcome to a new tutorial. Today we will be recreating the recall ability used by Tracer in Overwatch. We'll start by setting up our test scene. We will use a plane with a checkered texture material to act as our level, and for the player I will use a sphere with a rigid body. I'm going to move and make the camera a child of our player sphere. You most likely already have your own first-person controller, but if you don't, then you can download this script from the description down below and import it into your project. Under our controller script, we will set our health to 100. Speed is fine, same with the look speed. And for our health UI, we will need text to display our current health, so create that real quick and drag it into our controller. Cool. Hit play and test it out. Yeah, everything seems to work properly. Create a new C# script and call it recall ability, then drag it into our player game object. Open up the script and let's begin coding. Alright. First things first, we will need to set up some variables. 3 public floats. Max duration will be how far back in time we're going to go. Save interval is how often we will save our current stats, like position, rotation, health, bullets, etc. And last one will be how fast is the recall speed, so how fast we will go back in time. We will use a canvas group to fade in and out a UI image to act as kind of like a camera effect. Now for stats, we will use lists. You can save whatever you wish. In this tutorial we will do position and health, so 2 lists, a vector 3 and a float. You won't be changing these values in the editor, it will all be done through code, so you can just put hide inspector here to hide it. That way your inspector window is less crowded. I won't do that because I want to show you the values changing in the inspector. Cool, now for private variables we will need a boolean to control our loops, 2 floats, one for our saving timer and another one that will hold the maximum amount of stats that we can store. And these are optional. I just don't want the player to be able to move or collide with other objects when we are being recalled, so I will create 3 new variables, one for my controller, collider, and rigid body. Under start, we will need to assign these variables real quick, and then we will calculate the maximum amount of stats we can store by dividing our maximum duration and save interval. You can also calculate the max stats inside update, but that is if you are changing the max duration variable in runtime. So just keep in mind, the max stats stored variable will only be set at the start of the script. Under update, we will check our boolean. If we're not recalling, we do our things, and those things are, we check if we have press mouse 1, which is the right click, and also if our list contains more than 0 values. If it does, then we change this loop, so we set the recalling to true and also disable our character controller so that we can't move, and also our collider, and set the rigid body to kinematic so that we don't use physics during the recall. Alright, so if we are not recalling, we also need to save our stats. We check if our stats timer is bigger than 0, and if it is, we lower it by delta time. Create a new function and call it store stats, then add it inside here. I'm just going to collapse this into one line of code because I like when things look nice and neat. We need to fade our UI image effect, so this is pretty simple. We just change the alpha using a lerp and the recall speed multiplied by time.delta time. Finish that part of the loop. Cool, now if we are recalling, then we do a quick check to see if we have more than 0 positions saved. And if we do, then we move this transforms position to the first position saved in our positions list. Whew, that's a lot of positions. Nothing happens if we reach the position though. So, create a temporary variable that will store the distance between this transforms position and the first position we have in our list. Then we check if the distance is smaller than 0.25 and create a new function and add it inside here. Awesome. Now if we are recalling still and we don't have more positions saved, then we set the recalling to false and enable all the things we disabled up here. And then for our image, instead of fading it out, we fade it in. Inside our store stats function, the first thing we gotta do is set our timer so that this does not get called every frame. When it comes to saving our stats, we simply insert a value into our list. So for positions, we use this transform position, and for health, we use the controller's health. This will add a value to our lists forever though. We need to use the value we set inside our start. So if the amount of values we have stored in our positions list is bigger than our max stats stored, we remove the last value in the list. Copy and paste this to do the same with the health. Now, as the name suggests, we need to set our stats. This is called whenever we reach a saved position. What we'll do here is access our controller's health and set it to be the first value in our health list. We will do the same for the position, so this transforms position equals to the first value inside our list. Lastly, we remove it. This will push up the second value in our list and make it the first value, turning this into a loop that will end when we don't have any more values inside our lists. We are done coding. Let's take a quick peek inside our controller script and we can see our health appear. It's just a float value. Down under update we do all our movement and blah 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 blah. You probably have a controller script that is better than this. Anyways, you can see here if we press our mouse, we lower our health by a random value between 1 and 5. This is for testing purposes, so you can see the value health changing when we use the recall ability. Back in Unity, you can see our exposed variables here. We will play with them in a second, but first we need to create our image effect. For this, just create an image and stretch it out to fit the screen. Change the colors alpha to whatever you wish to make the image transparent, then add a canvas group. This is what our script will access to fade this image. Drag this image into our camera effects here. And you can see the positions and healths are empty right now. You don't have to touch this. They will be constantly changing at runtime. Okay, last thing I will do is just add a few boxes so that we can play around them and test out our recall ability. Now that we're in the game, you can see the list getting bigger and bigger until it reaches 0 because 3 divided by 0.5 equals 6. Quick maths, I'm so good. Okay, let's use our recall ability. It's a bit slow. Increase the recall speed to 20. That's more like it. I'm going to lower my health, then use the recall ability. Back to 100, cool stuff. I'm just gonna change these values a bit, maybe make this 0.1. It's slow again, even though we have our recall speed to 20. That is because we have way more values inside our list. So divide 3 by 0.1, that's 30. 30 values that we're going through. So simply change the recall speed to 40 and we should be good. I think I'm just gonna do something like 0.5, so that is 2 saves per second. Unless you need it to be really precise, then I guess you can have a really low save interval. But keep in mind that it will be heavy in performance, because you will have a lot of values inside your lists. That's it for this tutorial, guys. You can customize it to save the player's rotation, bullet count, maybe even give it a particle effect that is activated whenever you use the ability so that we leave kind of like a trail. But yep, that's all. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the description down below. Thank you for watching and have a good one. Bye bye.